In the heart of the sprawling city, where shadows stretched like long, dark claws, lived a man named Victor Vex. Victor was a creature of the night, his mind a maze of clever and wicked plans. He moved through the world with a quiet confidence, his eyes always scanning for an opportunity, a weakness to exploit. But Victor was never truly alone. By his side, always watchful and ever faithful, was Bruiser. Bruiser was a large dog, a mix of muscle and might, with a coat as dark as a moonless sky. His loyalty to Victor was absolute, a bond forged in shared secrecy and silent understanding. To Bruiser, Victor was his entire world, the leader of his very small pack. Their latest plan was the most daring yet. Victor intended to steal a piece of advanced technology from a secure laboratory. The prize was a powerful microchip, small enough to fit in his palm, but valuable enough to change his fortunes forever. Bruiser watched his human with keen eyes, sensing the familiar thrum of excitement and danger. He did not understand the purpose of the shiny object, but he understood the tension in Victor's shoulders and the determined set of his jaw. Bruiser's role was simple: to be the lookout, the guardian, the silent partner in their shadowy dance. He was ready to follow Victor into any danger, his deep chest rumbling with a low growl of anticipation. That night, under the cold glow of the city lights, they moved like phantoms. Victor disabled the outer security with practiced ease, his fingers flying across keypads. Bruiser padded silently behind him, his senses on high alert. He could smell the sterile cleanness of the building, a scent so different from the familiar smells of the street. Inside, Victor worked quickly, his tools making soft clicks in the echoing silence. Bruiser stood guard at the door, his ears swiveling to catch the faintest sound. He was a formidable sentinel, a living wall of loyalty protecting his master from the outside world. His only mission was to ensure Victor's success. But even the most careful plans can unravel. As Victor finally secured the microchip, a stray movement triggered a hidden laser beam. A piercing alarm suddenly shattered the silence, its shriek echoing through the building and spilling out into the night. Red lights flashed, painting the sterile corridors in a frantic, pulsing crimson. Bruiser's fur bristled, and a fierce bark erupted from his chest. The hunt was on. Victor grabbed his bag, his face a mask of frustration and urgency. He gave a sharp whistle, and Bruiser was instantly by his side. They had to escape, to melt back into the shadows of the city before they were caught in the closing net. The sound of sirens grew closer, a mournful wail that signaled the arrival of the law. Leading the charge was Officer Johnson, a dedicated policeman who knew the city's every corner. Beside him in the patrol car sat Ranger, a German shepherd with a coat of sable and gold. Ranger was more than just a police dog. He was a partner, his intelligence and courage legendary within the force. As they arrived at the laboratory, Ranger's sharp nose was already working, sifting through the chaotic scents of the night. He caught a distinct trail, the scent of a man's fear mixed with the strong, musky odor of another dog. Ranger let out a sharp, determined bark, his eyes fixed on the building's fire escape. Victor and Bruiser scrambled up the iron stairs, their footsteps clanging against the metal. The city spread out below them, a dizzying tapestry of lights and darkness. Victor was agile, but Bruiser's powerful legs carried him effortlessly upward. They reached the rooftop just as Officer Johnson and Ranger emerged from the building below. Ranger looked up, his gaze locking with Bruiser's across the expanse. A challenge passed between the two canines, an unspoken declaration of intent. For Ranger, it was about duty and justice. For Bruiser, it was about protecting his pack leader at all costs. The chase had now moved to the rooftops, a dangerous playground under the stars. The pursuit was a breathtaking display of agility and speed. Victor leaped from one rooftop to the next, a feat of daring acrobatics. Bruiser followed without hesitation, his powerful body soaring through the air. Below, Officer Johnson coordinated with other units, his voice calm and steady over the radio. But his true partner was keeping pace above. Ranger, guided by Officer Johnson's commands and his own instincts, found his own path. He ran along ledges and climbed ladders, his movements fluid and precise. He was a golden streak against the dark skyline, a relentless force of justice closing in on his quarry. The gap between them was shrinking with every desperate leap. The chase weaved through the concrete canyons of the city. Victor grew more frantic, his breath coming in ragged gasps. He glanced back and saw Ranger, closer than ever, his form silhouetted against the glow of a distant billboard. Panic began to set in. He had underestimated the police dog. He had underestimated his pursuer's sheer tenacity. In a final, desperate move, Victor slid down a drainpipe into a narrow alleyway, hoping to lose them in the labyrinth of the streets below. Bruiser landed beside him with a soft thud, turning to face the direction they had come from, a low growl rumbling in his chest. He was ready to make a stand. The alley was a dead end, a trap of brick and steel. Garbage cans and discarded boxes littered the ground, creating a chaotic obstacle course. Officer Johnson and Ranger entered the alley, blocking the only escape route. The air grew thick with tension. The officer's flashlight cut through the darkness, pinning Victor and Bruiser in its bright, unforgiving beam. "It's over, Vex," Officer Johnson said, his voice echoing off the damp brick walls. "There's nowhere left to run." Victor, cornered and desperate, clutched the bag containing the stolen chip. His eyes darted around, searching for any chance, any sliver of hope for escape. Ranger stood a few paces ahead of his human partner, his body coiled like a spring. He was focused entirely on Bruiser. He could smell the fierce loyalty coming off the other dog, but he could also smell a faint hint of confusion. Bruiser was a formidable opponent, his muscles bunched and his teeth bared in a snarl. Yet something in his stance was uncertain. He was protecting his master, as he had always done, but the frantic energy of the chase and the cornered look in Victor's eyes had planted a seed of doubt. Was this truly the right path? Was this the life he was meant to lead, always running, always hiding in the shadows? As Officer Johnson moved closer, Victor made a startling move. "Stay back!" he yelled, revealing a small remote detonator in his hand. "I've got explosives rigged in the plaza. One push of this button and everything goes up." The officer froze. The situation had just become infinitely more dangerous. His gaze flickered to the detonator and then back to Victor's wild eyes. He had to proceed with extreme caution. Ranger, however, sensed the shift in his partner's focus. He understood the new threat, not just to them, but to the innocent people in the city. The mission had changed. It was no longer just about catching a thief. It was about preventing a catastrophe. With a silent command from Officer Johnson, Ranger lunged. But he didn't go for Victor, he went for Bruiser. The two dogs met in a clash of fur and fury. It was not a fight born of hatred, but of duty. Ranger was swift and precise, using his training to dodge and weave. Bruiser was raw power, his attacks driven by a desperate need to protect his master. They tumbled and rolled across the grimy alley floor, a whirlwind of growls and snapping jaws. Officer Johnson used the distraction to close the distance to Victor, his focus now entirely on disarming the man who held the city hostage. The fate of everyone now rested on this tense, two-fronted confrontation. The dogfight was fierce but brief. Ranger's training gave him the edge. He was not just fighting, he was thinking, anticipating Bruiser's moves. He found an opening and pinned Bruiser to the ground, not with aggression, but with firm, undeniable strength. He held him there, letting out a low whine that was not a threat, but a question. In that moment, Bruiser's resistance crumbled. He looked past Ranger to his master, Victor, who was now struggling against Officer Johnson. He saw no loyalty in Victor's eyes, only selfish fear. The bond that had defined his entire life shattered in an instant. This was not a pack. It was a cage. With Bruiser subdued, Officer Johnson easily overpowered the distracted Victor Vex. He wrestled the detonator from his grasp and snapped handcuffs onto his wrists. Victor's fight was over. His grand plan had ended here, in a filthy alley, defeated by a man and his remarkable dog. As other officers arrived to take Victor away, he didn't even glance back at Bruiser. The dog who had offered him unconditional loyalty was now forgotten, a tool no longer needed. Bruiser watched him go, a profound sense of loss and confusion washing over him. He was alone, his purpose gone, left behind in the shadows. Ranger approached Bruiser slowly. He nudged the larger dog with his nose, a gesture of comfort and understanding. He saw not an enemy, but another dog who had been led astray by a misplaced sense of loyalty. Officer Johnson watched the interaction, his heart going out to the abandoned animal. He saw the good in Bruiser, the brave heart that had been devoted to the wrong person. In that quiet moment, a new bond began to form, not between a villain and his sidekick, but between two dogs and a kind-hearted man. Redemption was waiting in the wings, offering a second chance. In the end, Bruiser did not go to a shelter. Officer Johnson decided to adopt him, seeing the perfect companion for his heroic partner, Ranger. Bruiser's journey from a villain's accomplice to a hero's friend was complete. He found a new pack, a true family built on respect and genuine affection. He and Ranger became inseparable, their days filled with games of fetch in the park instead of chases across rooftops. The story of Victor Vex faded into a cautionary tale, while the legend of Ranger and his new brother Bruiser became a shining example of loyalty, redemption, and the unbreakable bond between humans and their faithful canine companions.